Hi everyone, it's Jaya again. Welcome back to my educational vlog. What we are talking about today is about the chapter 2, lesson 2, which is culture. In this vlog, we are able to learn the definitions, characteristics, and factions of culture. But before I proceed, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get started.
So, what is culture? Culture has been defined in a number of ways. There is no consensus among sociologists and anthropologists regarding the definition of culture. One of the most comprehensive definitions of the term culture that caught my attention was provided by the British anthropologist Edward Tylor. He defined culture as that complex whole which includes knowledge, belief, art, materials, law, custom, and any other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of society. There are some writers who add to this definition some of the important other capabilities and habits, such as language and the techniques for making and using tools. Cultures consist of all learned normative behavior patterns that is all shared ways or patterns of thinking and feeling as well as doing. Some of the thinkers would say that culture only the non-material parts. For instance, Sutherland and would say, if culture exists only where there is communication, then the content of culture can be ideas or symbol patterns. Culture is then an immaterial phenomenon only, a matter of thoughts and meanings and habits, and not of visible and touchable material things or objects. So, we are done with the definition of culture. Let's go to the characteristics of culture. First characteristic is learned behavior. Not all behavior is learned, we all know that, but most of it is learned. For example, combing one's hair. When we are young, we are told by our elders to comb our hair for us to look good. And another example is standing in line. When we are in school, we are taught by our teachers to stand in line during flag ceremony to show our respect to the national anthems. And there are some behavior is obvious. People can be seen going to football games, eating with forks, or driving automobiles. Such behavior is called overt behavior. Other behavior is less visible. Such activities as planning tomorrow's work or feeling hatred for an enemy are behaviors too. But this sort of behavior is called covert behavior. So, let's go to the next characteristics, which is culture is abstract. Culture exists in the minds or habits of the members of society. Culture is the shared ways of doing and thinking. In other words, we cannot see culture as such, we can only see human behavior. Next, culture is a pattern of learned behavior. The definition of culture indicated that the learned behavior of people is patterned. The point is that, as a general rule, behaviors are somewhat integrated or organized with related behaviors of other persons. That is, a culture is a pattern of a learned behavior. Next, culture is the products of behavior. Culture learnings are the products of behavior. As the person behaves, there occur changes in him. He acquires the ability to swim, to feel hatred towards someone, or to sympathize with someone. Then, human behavior is the result of behavior. And also, many of his traits and abilities have grown out of his own past behavior. So, culture is somewhat related to behavior of a person. Next, culture includes attitudes, values, knowledge. There is widespread error in the thinking of many people who tend to regard the ideas, attitudes, and notions which they have as their own. Your differences, however, may also be cultural. For example, suppose you are a Catholic and the other person is a Protestant. So, that shows the culture is includes in attitudes, values, and knowledge. Next, culture includes material objects. Man's behavior results in creating objects. Men were behaving when they made these things. To make this object required numerous and various skills which human beings gradually built up to ages. For example, a man create a chair, and the chair came from the tree. So there is a, what do we call this one? There is a progress between that trees. It makes a trees to a chair. Next, let's go to the seventh characteristic, which is culture is shared by the members of society. The patterns of learned behavior and the results of behavior are possessed not by one or a few persons, but usually by a large proportion. Persons may share some part of culture unequally. For example, as Americans do the Christian religion, to some persons, Christianity is the all-important, predominating idea in life. To others, it is less preoccupying or important, and to still others, it is of marginal significance only. So, let's go to culture is superorganic. Culture is somewhat called superorganic. It implies that culture is somehow superior to nature. The word superorganic is useful when it implies that what may be quite a different phenomenon from a cultural point of view. For example, a tree means different things to the botanist which studies it. The old woman who uses it for shade in the late summer afternoon, the farmer who picks its fruits, and also the young lovers who carve their initials on it. So they are the same physical objects and physical characteristics, in other words, may constitute a variety of quite different cultural objects and cultural characteristics, and that is one of the example trees. Next is culture is pervasive. Culture is pervasive, it touches every aspect of life. The pervasiveness of culture is manifest in two ways. First, culture provides an unquestioned context which individual action and response take place. Second, culture pervades social activities and institutions. The 10th characteristic is culture is a way of life. Culture means simply the way of life of a people designed for living. So according to some people, which are Cockburn and Kelly, define it in his sense. A culture is a historically derived system of explicit and implicit designs for living, which tends to be shared by all or special designed members of a group. Next, culture is a human product. Culture is not a force, operating by itself and independent of the human actors. Culture is a creation of society and interaction and depends for its existence upon the continuance of society. So culture in short is a human product. It is not independently endowed with life. Next, culture is idealistic. Culture embodies the ideas and norms of a group. It is sum total of the ideal patterns and norms of behavior of a group. Culture consists of the intellectual, artistic, and social ideas which the members of society profess and to which they strive to conform. Next, culture is transmitted among members of society. The culture ways are learned by persons from persons. Many of them are handed down by one's elders, by parents, teachers, and others. Other cultural behaviors are handed up to elders. Some of the transmission of culture is among contemporaries. For example, the style of dress, political views, and the use of recent labor-saving devices. So, much of the learning process, both for the teacher and the learner, is quiet, unconscious, and unintentional or accidental. Next, culture is continually changing. Why? There is one fundamental and inescapable attribute of culture, the fact of unending change. So, we should say that culture is not consistent. It changes generation to generation. Next, culture is variable. Culture varies from society to society, group to group. Further, culture varies from group to group within the same society. There are subcultures within a culture, also cluster of patterns which are both related to general culture of the society. So, let's go to the 16th characteristic, which is culture is an integrated system. Culture possesses an order and system. Its various parts are integrated with each other, and any new element which is introduced and also integrated. The last characteristic, which is language, is the chief vehicle of culture. Man lives not only in the present but also in the past and future. To conclude everything, culture is socially learned and shared by the members of society. So, let's go to the functions of culture. The first function is culture defines situations. It reveals whether one should prepare to fight, run, laugh, or make love. The next is culture defines attitudes, values, and goals. Each person learns in his culture what is good, true, and beautiful. The third one is the culture defines myths, legends, and supernatural. They may inspire, reinforce effort and sacrifice, and also bring comfort to the bereavement. So, let's go to the fourth functions, which is culture provides behavior patterns. So, a man should find a ready-made set of patterns awaiting him which he needs only to learn and follow.